So, how exactly do you build a city of the future? I mean, not just a cool new neighborhood or some shiny tech park, but how do you design a massive, living, breathing metropolis entirely from scratch to solve some of the most pressing urban crises we face today?
Well, to answer that, we really need to look at China's Xiong'an New Area. This is a heavily backed, state-led initiative that President Xi Jinping has actually championed as a millennium strategy. And the main idea here? It's basically designed to act as a massive pressure valve for Beijing's overcrowding, while at the same time serving as this giant, real-world testing ground for next-generation urban planning.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving straight into the hard data, the bleeding-edge tech, and the pretty radical policies that are shaping this multi-billion-dollar megaproject. We're going to unpack the blueprints of a city that is literally attempting to design its way out of the problems that plague modern urban centers.
Here is our agenda for today. We'll be looking at 5 core areas, starting with building a city from scratch, designing the smart city, restoring the green ecosystem, rewriting real estate rules, and finally, looking at the 2035 vision. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. A city from scratch. The origin and ambition of Xiong'an.
So, where do you even drop a brand new megacity? Geography is absolutely key here. The area selected for Xiong'an sits squarely inside the Jingjiangji region. Now, this is the massive economic triangle formed by Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei province. Xiong'an is positioned right at the exact geometric center of these major hubs, about 100 kilometers southwest of Beijing. It's essentially the Goldilocks zone. It's close enough to absorb relocated state-owned enterprises and universities, but distant enough to build a totally separate, self-sustaining ecosystem.
The timeline here is honestly kind of wild. What started as a super confidential idea back in 2014 sent absolute shockwaves through the region when it was publicly announced in 2017. Just 3 years later, in 2020, they opened a high-speed rail station connecting it straight to Beijing. And as of 2025, Xiong'an has officially entered its high-quality construction phase with universities, hospitals, and major corporate headquarters actively taking shape right now.
So, what does that rapid timeline actually look like on the ground? Well, the area has already seen explosive growth. According to census data, the resident population has rapidly shot past 1.2 million people. So yeah, this isn't just a blueprint on a desk anymore, it's a heavily populated, incredibly active zone.
And none of this happens without some serious cash. As of late 2022, they reported 400 billion won, that is roughly $57 billion in completed investment. And this isn't foreign capital either. We're talking heavy funding through state fiscal allocation, state bank loans, and direct investment from those major state-owned enterprises that are moving their headquarters right into the new city.
Moving on to Section 2, designing the smart city, the brain of Xiong'an.
Okay, before we even talk about AI, we got to look at the physical layout. They're going all in on this human-centered design concept called the 15-minute life cycle. The rule is simple but incredibly powerful. Urban design should ensure all your daily goods and services, like groceries, healthcare, schools, are within a 15-minute walk. It's an entire infrastructure natively designed to minimize commute times and maximize quality of life.
To actually build the tech for this smart city, the administration is acting as a massive frictionless accelerator to court top talent. Take the startup Stable AI, for example, founded by Tsinghua University researchers. They went from their initial contact, straight through due diligence, to landing a 20 million yuan funding round in less than 3 months. Here's another real game changer for those researchers. Usually, traditional computing services lock startups into these rigid monthly subscriptions, which is super tough for early-stage companies with fluctuating needs. Xiong'an completely flipped the script. They use a highly flexible, on-demand computing dispatch platform, which operates a lot more like a utility. Researchers only pay for the exact computing power they use, and they can cut it off at any time.
And this ecosystem is creating some immediate local winners. Look at Xiong'an, an AI agent startup. In July of 2024, their contract value was around 4 million yuan. By the end of 2025, it's jumping to 26 million yuan. A massive chunk of that jaw-dropping growth is fueled directly by the city itself, heavily backed by local smart city contracts for things like satellite-based crop monitoring. The city acts as the client, and the startups are the architects.
Section 3. Restoring the green ecosystem, the lungs of the future.
A smart city can't just be concrete and servers. It desperately needs ecological lungs. And at the absolute heart of this green effort is Bayang Lake. This is northern China's largest freshwater lake, holding immense cultural significance. But historically, parts of it were severely blighted by pollution. We're talking fetid, stagnant ponds just teeming with mosquitoes. The master plan required integrating the city with nature, which sparked a massive, highly successful initiative to revitalize this entire water system into a pristine ecological park.
So how'd they pull that off? By tackling the root cause. They built 89 sewage treatment stations across 78 surrounding villages. That infrastructure now pumps out 400 to 500 tons of purified water every single day, perfectly suitable for agriculture. And the economic ripple effect is super fascinating. Villages like Mapu went from basic subsistence corn farming to running RV campsites and earning 230,000 yuan annually just from woodland leasing. This green upgrade literally boosted the local standard of living.
Section 4. Rewriting real estate rules, the social and economic policies.
Now this is where things get really interesting. To stop speculative money from flooding in, authorities completely tossed out the traditional Chinese real estate playbook. Instead of selling houses before they're even built, which fuels huge speculation, the Xiong'an model enforces a strict built-before-sold rule. Plus, you can't just swoop in and buy a house because you have the cash. Purchases are tightly restricted through a lottery system tied to residency permits, ensuring these homes actually go to local contributors.
And this completely changes the game for local farmers too, through something called the new urbanization dividend distribution mechanism. Instead of the classic model where a farmer just gets a one-time buyout for their land, in Xiong'an, they actually become shareholders in the urban development itself. That means they get annual dividends from the ongoing development, tying their long-term financial success directly to the growth of the whole megaproject.
And the social engineering doesn't stop at housing. In early 2025, Xiong'an made history. They became the very first Chinese city to require employers to pay into both state pensions and enterprise annuities for their entire workforce. It's a massive mandate designed to build a highly robust social safety net, making it that much easier to attract and retain the top-tier talent relocating from Beijing and beyond. Finally, Section 5, the 2035 vision, looking ahead to the mid-21st century.
When you look at the master timeline, the ambition is just dizzying. We're in the high-quality construction phase right now, but they aim to have the core city officially erected by 2035. And by the middle of the 21st century, the project is scheduled to be fully completed, supporting a planned population of 5 million people. We are talking about building a city the size of a small European country, completely from scratch in just a couple of decades.
So that brings us to a really fascinating final thought for this explainer. The infrastructure, the funding, the sheer political will behind Xiong'an, it's undeniably massive. But this great urban experiment raises a profound question. Can a centrally planned top-down approach truly manufacture the organic innovation, the cultural vibrancy, and, the messy, beautiful chaos required for a thriving city? Or will it remain a highly efficient, yet somewhat sterile, technocratic grid? Honestly, only time will tell, but the blueprints being drawn in Xiong'an right now are absolutely going to influence the future of urban design worldwide. Thanks so much for learning with us today.